G'day, guys. Welcome back to Stat Chat Sports. You're here with me, Josh. I've got BT and Steve Tazza in the twos this week. It's just the three of us, and we are here to do our review of round 12 of the AFL season. Fellas, it's the bye rounds. It's reduced. There's a bit less happening. That's why there's a few less of us on the chat. But we've still got plenty to cover, of course, starting with our regular segment, hits, misses, and hold fire. Now, Steve, you're the man we like to turn to each week to give us the hit for the week, the team that has done beautifully, that we really want to recognise as the best team of the week. Where are we heading?
Obviously, due to the buys, rounds were a little bit limited on games this week, but we like to share it around. But we've got to go 2 weeks in a row with Freo. After beating Brisbane, back-to-back wins against the top two teams, yeah, they were the no-brainer for the hit this week, really.
Couldn't go anywhere else. They were excellent. BT, you had it as your game of the week last week. And Freo delivered in spades. They were enormous, particularly in the back half and particularly in the centre of the ground.
Yeah, I think I touched on in game of the week that the uncontested possession was going to be the key factor. And Fremantle won that by 30. They still lost the contested, but as soon as they got it on the outside, they just killed them. Especially going inside 50, it was just too easy for them.
Hey, Steve, talk to us a little bit about Andy Brayshaw. He was sort of touted in the preseason as a guy that could take the next step, become one of the elite midfielders of the competition. And you got to say, he is that right now. He has been sensational through the first half of the season.
Yeah, he's been massive. In the absence of, obviously, Nat Fyfe, who's, their superstar player and all that sort of stuff, he's obviously really stepped up and been a bull in the midfield for him, and he's been that good. You almost haven't even noticed the loss of Fyfe within the team. He's pretty much carried the midfielders that good. 39 disposals against Brisbane week just been pretty big.
And Fyfe in the twos as well last week. I think making his waffle debut for Peel Thunder, BT. Straight back in the team this week, or you reckon they'll just give him a bit more time until after the buys to get back to full fitness?
Well, first he's isolating at the moment because of what happened with all the crowd running onto the ground. So they're just precautions, making sure he doesn't catch the COVID. So I think he comes straight back in. I think they may drop one of the ruckmen. I think Meek may go and they'll bring him in, and Rory Lobb will play the second ruck.
Meek's been good,
that's
though.
The way to go. Meek has been. He's been pretty solid, but I think Darcy and Lobb will be good enough, and then Fyfe obviously will play, I think, 70-30, 70 up forward.
So, Steve, if we're looking at the resume of Flagmantle, I mean, we've been pretty well on the Freo train all year, which is big for three Eagle supporters that are on the chat right now. But Geelong in Geelong, they knocked off Melbourne in Melbourne, and now Brisbane as well. I mean, they're legit. They're the real deal. They are right up there, and they'll be there at the pointy end of the season. You can't say they won't.
Yeah, I think I've been the most critical out of Fremantle out of all of us. I was still kind of hesitant to put them up there in that sort of top 2, top 3. But yeah, given the last 2 weeks, and obviously Geelong in Geelong, as you said, yeah, it's hard to look past it. I mean, they haven't really just sort of scraped by either. They dominated Melbourne, a little bit closer against Brisbane, but they still controlled the game to a point where it was, they didn't really look like they were going to lose it. So I definitely, they're absolutely in the top 3 teams, I think, at the moment. But you could certainly argue the fact that they should even be 1 or 2, I reckon.
And we hate talking about conditions on this show, but if the conditions stay dry, Fremantle, every chance in the world, you got to say. If you are a Freo fan and you're watching this video and the lid is off, get in the comments. Let us know how excited we are. Let us know if you've booked your flights to Melbourne for grand final day. That's what we want to hear. A bit of excitement from our Freo fans in the comments of the video. We've done our hit. BT, you're the pessimist of this group. A miss. We're looking for a team that was not good on the weekend and needs a big barrel, needs a big lift.
It kind of feels a bit odd going for the miss for top of the table team, but 2 losses in a row now. No Stephen May, no Melbourne. That's what it seems like at the moment. They do. Yeah. They in that game they won, kicked 6 on the first 7 goals, 14 more contested, 35 more uncontested, but still lose. They just,
Unreal.
as soon as Sydney were going forward, they had 18 more marks inside 50, Sydney did. There was no organisation down back at all, and that's a massive loss with Stephen May not playing there.
Now, I've looked a bit silly on this channel because in the pre-season videos, I predicted a bit of a slide from Melbourne, and I was rightfully shouted down by everybody on this show as well as in the comments. But one of the reasons I did is because I wasn't sold on what was going to happen if an injury struck or if depth was tested. And Steve, look, they've got issues down back, as we said, but the forward line is not gelling at the moment. Tom McDonald are laid out. I think they had one goal from their key forwards. That's a real problem for Melbourne.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the loss of Stephen May, like you said, that's been huge for him. I mean, the game for me it was almost written in the script that they should have got something out of the game. Like, obviously, I mean, nobody on the side of Sydney. Imagine if he was playing. How many? Sydney probably would have smoked them. Playing in Melbourne, you've got both Salem and Langdon coming back in. They're both two real energetic players for them, and then still to take the loss. But yeah, to touch on that forward line, I mean, their forward line is, up there for the best, and to kick one goal between the key forwards is not great. And you're having to rely on Gawn to kick three of himself. Fridge gets it done. He's top, but yeah, they need more from elsewhere, in that forward line.
You obviously expect ups and downs through a season, BT, and you don't mind a team like Melbourne having a bad week, but now it's turned into 2 weeks. And Collingwood on the Queen's birthday, is this going to turn into 3 weeks?
I think, to be fair, Fremantle obviously is a top team, and Sydney, we've had Sydney up there as a top quality team. So, but like you touched on in the preseason, I think that depth is starting to catch up on it. And I keep saying that Stephen May, in my opinion, he's the best defender in the league. And it's not just the one-on-one defending. He takes the kick-ins, intercept marking, but he organises that whole back line. And without him there, they look in shambles down back. And I'm not sure on the status on him. I'm not sure when he'll be back, but they need him back as soon as possible.
Yeah, 100%. Can't agree anymore. And, even though we are talking about Melbourne here as our miss, I think just a quick mention for Sydney, because they have had a bad run of form for the last month. They've come out and they've beat the best team in the competition. You've got to be up and about if you're a Swans fan. That is a really big win, and that should set up the back half of their season really nicely, BT.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're definitely going to be pushing that top four now with a win like that. That was crucial for their season, and you wouldn't expect them to get one of those wins, so that's just an extra win for them.
Alrighty, the last part of this segment, the hold fire. Our man Tazza usually covers this, and it's a team that, we just don't want to jump the gun on too quickly. Now, obviously, Tazza in the twos this week, so I'm going to step up to the mantle and go with Collingwood as our hold fire. Steve, this is a team that's on a 3-game win streak, just knocked off Hawthorn in a tight one after they've had some really good wins against Freo and Carlton in the last fortnight. I'm not sold on them just yet. They just scraped over the line against the Hawks, and they nearly gave up a 5-goal lead in this game. So I just think I'm not fully there on the Pies. And I'm interested on your thoughts, boys, because we have spoken a little bit about finals contenders in the last couple of weeks as we're getting to this midpoint of the season. But, Steve, do you have Collingwood in your top 8 at the end of the year based on what you've seen so far?
I don't think so. And I don't know if it's because of what I've seen from them. I just think you look at the teams directly below them at the moment, Bulldogs and Richmond. So they obviously lost to Richmond, but I don't know. I just see those two teams just being a little bit better than Collingwood for me. Obviously, they're 3 wins. They're all impressive wins against good opposition. Yeah, I understand the hold fire, but I think they deserve to be where they're at the moment because they've played well recently. But for me, I think they'll just miss out. on the 8th.
Yeah, don't have the worst draw either, BT. So they are a good chance, but it really is shaping up as a big game against Melbourne this week. This could have huge ramifications for both teams. which you wouldn't have thought that was going to be the case, in the early stage of this year.
It's hard to see how they're actually going, Collingwood. Like, they beat Fremantle, I know that, but we've touched on the wet weather. Fremantle aren't a wet weather team. We don't like talking about the conditions, but that it clearly is playing a factor. Hawthorn, they're a very inconsistent team. It's a tough one. Obviously, they're sitting in 8th, but I'm with Steve on this. I think Richmond and Bulldogs are just a better team. Even Gold Coast. I think Gold Coast are a better team than them. They did dominate in the stats against Hawthorn, 29 more contested and 25 more inside 50. So that's a domination. You would think that's at least a 5-goal win. So, yeah, I think it's perfect. This is a perfect hold fire.
So if you are a Pies fan and, you are a bit more bullish about them than us, let us know in the comments as to why that is, why you think they're going to make finals, and why we shouldn't be holding fire. Because really, they've just won 3 in a row, 2 of them against very good opposition. So as a Collingwood fan, you've got every right to be up and about. So if you are one, let us know in the comments why we should be all aboard the Collingwood train.